and the rally at the state capitol on Monday. The two of them may well be connected. And Marshall joins us here on WSBA. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Doing great, Gary. How about yourself?
We're doing well, Marshall. It's good to have you on. We normally have you on for just about a minute, but today it's a few more minutes than that because I wanted to talk to you. You've been talking, a lot about small business, and obviously Century Home Improvement is a family-owned business, and you've been around for a long time. But obviously this COVID-19 pandemic is a way people are doing business, and I know you've got some very definite thoughts on that, and I wanted to hear some of those this morning.
All right. First off, Gary, I want to thank you for taking time. You have been diving into this for all of us who own businesses who are struggling in so many different ways. I want to thank you for that. It's a great thing that you're doing for us. Appreciate it. And I want to share with you, Gary, I did for the first time in my life, I went to a rally, a protest rally. I've never done it. I'm an older gentleman that's come through the late 70s, late 60s, early 70s. So I had opportunities, but I've never felt as passionate about something as I did to take and go out to the Capitol building on Monday. I thought it was a worthwhile cause. I thought the governor had to hear what the small business plight is. And I don't want to take anything away from anybody out there who's working front lines, trying to keep people safe and secure. That's the last thing any of us want to do. We also want to recognize that I want to say I'm speaking on behalf of, I know all of the folks who are out there on Monday. We are looking for the governor to be transparent, to be fair, to understand the plight of small businesses and the things that are going through. A carte blanche across the board shutdown of the state is not what we feel is not the right approach, and it is hurting people in ways that I'm sure he thought about it, but I'm sure he doesn't have the real grasp on it. How many? And you've talked about it with others of your guests that you've talked to so far. Everything from mental illnesses to people who are losing their business are out there contemplating suicide. That's a bad place to be. And people have worked all their lives. I have to speak for Century in particular. We're a strong company, and I had, we're very, very frugal with our spendings, and we try to build a little bit of a strength for a rainy day fund. But you can't build a rainy day fund that's going to sustain this type of a impact.
Right.
And I think that's a whole thing that we try to get across to the governor. When you have a county out there where only 1, 2, 3, 4 people have contracted the disease, and you shut that county down and shut down the livelihoods of so many people and shut down their and force them into potential bankruptcy, I have to speak for the people that I know. We're smart.
Right.
We understand. Okay, we know what we need to do to protect ourselves. And there's folks who will say, well, you're out there standing on the Capitol steps without, not adhering to the 6-foot rule or wearing masks. There were some people out there that were doing that. Yeah, me, I wasn't one of them. I had my mask over most of the time that I was there when I was around people. And we're smart enough to understand that. Okay, we're smart, and I don't think the governor gives the entrepreneur out there that type of respect that they deserve. They've gotten to a point in their business lives that they've had to do things correctly, and they've had to do things right. They wouldn't have customers if they didn't. So you have to give them a little latitude and say, this is, here's the guidelines, and I'm going strong with the CDC guidelines. These are the guidelines that will keep your customers safe, will keep your employees safe, long-term, keep people out of the hospital. That's a great place to be. And when you put those things, Gary, in place, I don't think you have nearly the issues that the governor has conveyed and portrayed. We're not New York City. We're not Philadelphia, where people are stacked upon one another. We're in rural Pennsylvania, Lancaster, York, Dauphin counties. All these counties are people can stay away from each other. Our particular case, Gary, I've got folks who are 25 feet up in the air. working, 15, 20 feet away from one another for the most part. They're not going to, and they're very limited contact with anybody or anything. They're not going to contract this type of a virus in this work environment. If we were working, let's say, in a confined space like building cabinets, kitchen cabinets, that would be, where you're stacked on top of one another. Well, that may be a different picture, but and there's the other thing, Gary. Across the board, the governor has given what he believes are safe places to work. And he picks the winners, he picks the losers. He's got a lot of things going on that the folks standing on those steps on Monday would say, you're wrong, Governor. You're wrong on not being transparent. You're not telling us who gets the waivers, who doesn't get the waiver, who can work, who can't work. You're picking the winners. You're picking the losers. Again,
right.
There's, and that's part of our contention that we were out there for on Monday.
Well, and I want to jump in. We have about 45 seconds left in the segment. So the idea here is that, I think the waivers become a lifeline that you can throw to the governor and say, okay, upon further review, as we travel down the road of this thing, there is a new normal. It's probably going to be a while till we get a vaccine, but instead of hiding away from it, we've got to learn how to live with it, which is kind of what you've been describing, and how to do it under the various guidelines, CDC guidelines, for example. Some people would say we don't even need those. Some people talk about herd immunity. I'm not quite totally to that yet either, although I think there's some credence to be lent to that, but there's still a lot of information out there. But the point is, and you hit it exactly right this morning, Marshall, the rub is, do we trust those who run the government in our stead, or do we trust the people to do the right things if the government gives them the right kind of information to be able to follow and do it more from a standpoint of working with us rather than telling it to us? Marshall, I appreciate you joining us this morning, my friend. Always good. And stick around. We're going to talk to you in a second here about Century Home Improvement and what you're doing during this time. We'll take a break. Marshall Nowak, head of Century Home Improvement, with us here on WSBA Morning News with Gary Sutton, where it is 7:14.